There, greetings to you. What you're seeing on the screen next to me, and let me pull it forward all the way, is my present media player. This was custom designed by a fellow in Vietnam, and for what he gave me so far, he didn't even charge me anything for it. But I did send him $25 right away, and then after I used it for a while, I actually been using it. I sent him another $50. And then I've got a proposal for him to make some changes to it that if you do well for me, and if he doesn't want to get around to it, I'll offer this project to you to change this thing. But I'll tell you about that in a moment. But it works. Now, what he had to do for me, it works in this same computer that this program you sent me won't work in, and these are FLV files. Let me come out with you just while I'm talking to you, and we'll go back to that. These are FLV files. The lady you see there, he has it fixed so that it will freeze on the first frame, and then when I press the play button, it plays, and that's an FLV file. Now, when he first gave it to me, it was just like yours. It didn't give error messages, but it just wouldn't work. And so what he did was he loaded the FLV codec inside the program, and this program is based on VLC. It's just some kind of VLC shell, real fancy VLC shell that does custom stuff that I want done. But he loaded the codec in there so that if the computer doesn't have the FLV codec in it, doesn't matter. It'll play anyway. Let me show you. Let me zoom in. This is player and all. Now, normally I use my desktop presenter and zoom in tighter on just the rolling picture part. But so you can see down here at the bottom, if you can see my arrow moving around, here's the play button. So when I press the play button, watch and listen to what happens.
224 people on board, 17 children, we understand. And we understand that the vast majority of them were, if not all of them, Russian tourists. Sharm el-Sheikh is an extremely popular winter sun resort for people.
You can see that the FLV file is playing in my media player. That's on this computer, the same computer. Now, let me bring her volume down, and we'll just stop that as if it was at the end. And then over here, you see this, the next button. I can press the next button. Now, if it had played all the way to the end, it freezes on the last frame. I got her. I accidentally hit her. She's moving again. Let's stop her. Okay, now it'll freeze on the very last frame when it finishes playing. Then I can hit this next button, and it goes to the next video. And you see over here, up here in this area, where my arrows, little tiny arrows moving around, these are a list of this is the directory. And right here where I click on add, I just click on that, and I tell it what subdirectory to go to, and it puts them in alphanumeric order. And so now that I've hit next, then all I do is come over here to the play button again when I'm ready for it. Usually I'll after one ends, I'll come out and I'll talk on the screen like this, only I'm wearing a suit and a tie. And then I'll say, here's our next video, and then I'll zoom into it, and then I'll start it. And you can see that it started playing. You hear it in the background now. Or I can bring the volume up and you hear it all the way. I'm using an external mixer for the audio.
All of Russia is in mourning now for 224 people killed flying back from a holiday.
And I'm recording this bear on a second computer in which it's got a live streaming program called Wirecast by Telestream, and it allows me to hit another button that records at the same time I live stream, or I can record all by itself like I'm doing right now. I'm not live streaming this one, but I could be by just hitting another button up there. Now, that gives you an idea. When that one's finished playing, it will freeze on the last frame, and then I can hit this next. Well, let me go tight so you can see what I'm doing. I can hit this next button again, and it goes to the next video in the series, and then I go over here to the play button, and it'll play it.
In Ankara, supporters of the ruling party took to the streets.
And again, all of these are FLV files, not AVI or MOV or MPG or anything else. These are FLV files, which is the way I get them from the BBC. I get them as FLV, I download them. There's no time for me to translate them, transfer them into anything else, and I've got to have a video player that's dependable. Now, this thing that you are designing for me, so I could just keep doing this over and over again, but let me stop this, and let me go up here and show you something. I'll hit my previous button till we get up to where on this first slide, this is a picture of the same picture. I really should go in tight, and I could do that like this. Let me change something. Here's the I'm going to drag over the desktop presenter. The way I get my picture, if I want to size it different, I have to do it within live stream and set up the shots ahead of time. But usually from the desktop presenter, I just bring over one framing set. That's selected in a little program made by Telestream, a free program. They just give this part of it away, the desktop presenter. And I can go here to either change region, and I can stretch the dots around, or as I prefer to do, I go to custom centered, and then I type in 640 by 360. Keep it on 3D, and then hit the enter button, and you'll see it change size now. Only paused it. Okay, so got it. Now we'll get this out of the way after having changed the size, and you'll see that we're tighter. Now that frame you're seeing, I'm 640 by 360, but this one's smaller because I've got the whole. I'm intending to have him widen this. And when I have him widen it, I've actually changed the design just a little bit. Where the borders, on the right side, where the names of the files that are next to show, in other words, the directory of the files that load, it was only 180 wide. I'm changing it to 320 wide, and then to balance it, to keep the main display centered, I'm doing that on the left border also. So both borders, the one on the left side and the one way over on the right side, I'm changing both of those from 180 to 320. The size of the player background that I was using was 1,000 wide and 640 high. So the 1,000 wide will simply change over to 1,000 plus 120 plus 120 to 1,280 wide. And that's just so I'll have more room to read over there on the far right side, to read the names of the files. And this display in the center where the video plays is exactly still center 640 by 360, but I've widened the borders. And then I moved around a few things to allow for something I'm asking him to do, or I may ask you to do, where, let me roll ahead where I got some notes. I don't know if you can see this. Where I'll have the names of the next 10 videos displaying, and the first frame of those videos displaying above and below the main display. Now, nobody ever sees that display first frame of what's showing next, of what's next in my over there on the far right side, what's next in my playlist over there on the right side, but me. I just see that. But that helps me on the air because I only keep that center 640 by 360 main display on the air. But I'm asking the fellow that made this first one, and that was the plan. He's already given me a quote and told me he could do that. And it's now we're just getting down to brass tacks where he's either going to do it, or I'm going to say, well, hey, I got another guy in China I like that I'm going to have do everything so everything stays well coordinated. What I should probably offer to do for you is send you his program and let you look at it, because you may say, oh, that's how I can get the FLV playing for Steve without Steve having to worry about having a codec loaded in whatever machine he's using. And as I can upgrade machines, I'm constantly upgrading, and spending my money with a little small church that I volunteer with as carefully as I can, so I have as much money as I can to get new software designed, so I don't spend a lot of money on equipment. As I can get better equipment, I do. But I need your program to do like the Vietnam guy, Naoni we call him, did here, and put the FLV codec inside that player. So I don't have to worry about it. I move it to any machine, whether it's got a codec on it or not. The player, the codec for playing FLV files, and that's the only thing I'm concerned about. BBC gives me those video files in FLV format, and that's the only thing I care about playing right now, except I do want it to also be able to display, as I've mentioned to you and my notes to you, the still photograph type files of JPEG, JPG, GIF, GIF, and PNG, PNG files. Those still files, they need to play, or display. They don't play because they don't move, but they need to display in this main display area of my video player. And the same with the cart. They need to display there too, PNGs and JPEGs and GIFs, as well as the FLV movies. Anything else, that's just a bonus. If it'll play anything else, I'm not likely to use it unless BBC changes their format on me on how they offer their videos. So I hope that makes sense. I need it to play FLV, and I need you to do it like Naoni in Vietnam did this player, where the codec to make that thing play is built into the program, and I don't have to worry about it because I spend all day hustling to get our program together by night. I actually don't have a lot of time. I forced the time to deal with you because I want this project, and I got other projects I want, and I want us to have a good relationship. I need you to be my programming man, and you take care of the brain power on all that, and leave me free to just say, look, I got a good man that can either do it, or he says it can't be done, or whatever, and you do it. But it can be done. This can be. I'm showing you how Naoni in Vietnam put the FLV codec in this video player. Now, and as I said, I'm having him widen it, change the display, get the thing he told me he'd get going with the 10 frames, 5 above and 5 below that show the next 10 after the main display video. The next 10 after that, the 5 are at top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 at the bottom, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that show me the first frame of the next 10 videos. And then above, in that little frame above and below those, show me the name of that next file. And then the name of the main display file is up there at the top in the second row. That's what all that's saying. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I got notes up there for him where, let me get that thing out of the way where that's covering that up. We don't need that for this video. All right, that's what I'm changing it to, and a few more. I'll show you some changes in case you want to do this other project too. Here's a shot of, well, this is a JPEG shot, but there's actually a hole in the very middle between the two upper and lower gold bars, and there's gold bars on the right and left also, so that frame a 640 by 360 main display inside of this 1280 by 720 total window view. And that's designed so it'll center, so that my desktop presenter, I can just, under custom centering, I can just tell it to get the centered area. I don't know if you can read that or not, but where it says selection custom centered, below that it says width 640, height 360, 3D compatibility. I have to check that. I used to not have to check that before Naoni made this program. It would just play everything smoothly, but the way he's got it programmed, and I can send you his program. You tell me somehow to some big file place I can drop his program for you. It's got a whole bunch of DLLs and stuff, a bunch of them. I'll send that to you if you want to look over how he's done this. I'm curious why I have to check that 3D compatibility file to make it run smooth, but I do. I didn't like that at first, but I live with it. But that's the desktop presenter program. I'm just sliding off the screen now. Made by Telestream. It's free. I use version for the live stream. Pro version 4, the Wirecast Pro 4 that I'm using, it requires that I use this desktop presenter version 2.0.4, and it's the extra version number, the 19289 in parentheses. It's version 2.0.4, but it's the public. I've got this file in my hard drive. It is less than 4 kilobytes, I think. Real small file. I could send you that too. In fact, I'd like to have that made so that it has a option for. You see, it's got 800/600 centered or 320 by 240 center. I wish it already had a pre-selection for 640 by 360, and I plan to also do a later project with 704 by 396 that BBC also puts some of their videos in. That's a format they put them in. But this version that you're looking at right now, where it's white, I have it both this way with holes for where the main display in the very center is dropped, and a hole above and below that for where the next 10 frames of the next 10 videos go. And then I have a version that just has the hole for the very center main display, 640 by 360, and then I got the other areas just blocked out, ready for that part to be designed later. And then what else do I have here? I got notes here where just explaining for the programmer how the area over here that displays the file names also sprinkle over here with the first frame displaying in the upper and lower 10 sections there that are 128 by 72 or 128 by 70. I think that's the 16:9 ratio that just fits perfect. It still stays 16:9, and then has a little area for the file names above it on the top row and below those frames on the bottom row. And then there's a note that says, hey, be sure and put the file name of the main display up here on the second row in that light blue colored bar. And then there's some timing buttons that kind of count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 when it's ending. And just show me a block over here that's 30 and the time remaining. And then this area down here is the play buttons, which are like this. You see, well, I got the, in the earlier thing where we had the whole thing showing, at the very bottom, yeah, like right here, where the play buttons are, these are the standard VLC play buttons, and the bar that shows you the running time, and the total running time over here on this side, and this shows you where you are in running time on the left, and then the bar that slides and shows you where you are as a visual, and then the play, pause, stop, previous, next, and then I'm having him add in there the VLC standard 1/10 per second slow down and 1/10 per second speed up with the left bracket and right bracket, and then the equal sign back to normal speed. And right now he doesn't have previous and next on F3 and F4 where I want it, but that's it. He's got the play on F1 and the pause on F2, and I was going to ask him to put next on F4 and previous on F3. Anyway, this is the old graphic display background. I'm changing it to this, as I mentioned, with a wider area to display the names of the files on the right side and wider on the left side to balance it. And then I was thinking, now listen here, we could put either year 16 or 25, whatever would work, in the main display area of the of that cart. We could put it here. If you want to look at this program and say, let's put it here, then beside paying you to do it, as a standalone thing as it is, just you and I get a working relationship going, and I could push that aside or just have it if I ever did want to use it. But if we put the cart in the middle of the 640 by 360 display, that means you reduce everything down 50%, but it work all the same way, including from the numbers, and then it wouldn't get in, and it wouldn't mess up with the F3 buttons that he's already got designed to work within this program. If you could get the cart to work with inside of this program, that'd be great. So I'm thinking, there's places we could go, and those are other projects for more money. But as you see, these videos, they play when I hit the play button. I'm going to hit the play button now. Here she goes.
24 people on board, 17 children, we understand. And we understand that the vast majority of them were, if not all,
and that sizing is the way I use it. I desktop presenter, custom centered 640-360, and that player that's got that display right dead center, when I do the desktop presenter centered 640-360, it gives it to me like that. And I can talk about it before it starts playing, and then I can say, here comes the video, and I can zoom it out, turn up the volume.
To Egypt to take part or to contribute to that investigation to find out exactly what happened on board. They were very confusing.
And so that's the way that works, as you see. And then when the video finishes, I come back out, and it freezes frame on the last frame, and then when I'm ready for the next frame, I just hit the next button, and behind me it pops up the next one. And so we have your thing working same way with the FLV codec built into the program the way Naomi from Vietnam built it in this player program. But okay, that's a look at it. Let's talk. Sayonara. See you later. Here's by the way, this is how I sign out on my program. Well, something didn't happen. It didn't play. Why not? Oh, there's my intro. And did my... Oh, I hit the wrong button. Oh, I added some buttons in here, so I never made it to the outro. My outro is over here. Here's how I sign off. So long. We'll see you later, Bear.
You have been watching Nightcast with Stephen Lloyd Gilbreth. Nightcast can be seen Sunday through Thursday nights here on cogtv.org. Tonight's program is also available anytime on demand in the cogtv.org video archive.